Okay, so which do you prefer more? Castilian Spanish, aka Peninsular Spanish, as in Spanish from Spain, or Latin American Spanish? And I guess that can be like Latin American Spanish is really like encompasses a wide range of different types of Spanish. There's the Spanish from the Caribbean, the Spanish from like Central America, the Spanish from South America. Then also you got like the Rio de Plata area. So when people say Latin American Spanish, it can mean a variety of things. But in this case, I'm going to say that Latin American for me will more so go back to Mexican Spanish. So again, do you prefer like a Latin American variety of Spanish or Castilian variety of Spanish? It doesn't really matter. Like me personally, like I want to experience like all the different types of Spanish. You know, even the Spanish in Equatorial Guinea, or maybe in the Philippines, or even in the United States, that variety of Spanish. But I will say that I do like Castilian Spanish. I like the tone of it and the words they use, and also it's less English influenced than say the Latin American variety. Not to say that Latin American Spanish is Spanglish or anything or Spanglish, but I do like based on what I've seen and heard, I do feel like I believe that Castilian Spanish has less of an English influence. Um, And as well, they do have a bit of a some differences. Like they use the Vosotros form, and some people don't like that form, but I like the Vosotros form for some reason. You know, even the word Vosotros is pretty like cool to say. It sounds nice, and as well, they pronounce words that like they pronounce the CE, CI, and Z words with like a th sound with like a th. So instead of cinco, it would be cinco, and instead of Ibiza, it'd be Ibiza. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it sounds pretty decent, and nice, but sometimes it doesn't. Ultimately, I do appreciate it because it does make Spanish. It does create a difference. So like it'd be easier to identify words that contain those sounds, which is better for people who are learning Spanish as a foreign language, so it'd be less difficult. And also because it sounds, it does sound nice sometimes. Not all the time. I will admit that sometimes the z sound is better for some words, but it does give you sort of a difference. Again, it kind of helps create an identity and your mark on the Spanish language. Also some of the vocabulary that's used in Spain and Castilian Spanish is different than the vocabulary used in Latin America. Like computer in Spanish in Latin America is la computadora, but in Spain is el ordenador. And I think they get that from the French because in French they say la ordinateur, le ordinateur, and however in Latin America I think they get it from the United States because we say computer, so they just put like changed a couple of things around like la computer, like la computadora. So vocabulary differences are cool too, but sometimes it can be really difficult um, for like as you learn it as like a foreign language. It can be a little difficult because you're like, which one do I say? Like sometimes like there's like uh, ton of different ways to say one different word. I'm like, which variety should I say? But I usually stick to like Mexican Spanish because I'm in the United States and Mexican Spanish does have like a strong influence on the Spanish of the United States because a lot of people who speak Spanish in the United States are from Mexico. Um, you know, although I think it might be a bit regional, but still, overall, I say I stick with Mexican. Like if I was living in Miami, then I'd probably go with the Cuban way. But overall, I'll say I'll stick with the Mexican way. However, I do still like the Castilian Spanish. It may not have as much use over in the United States, but still, it's worth learning. And also, it's a good way to learn Spanish by hearing the Castilian Spanish spoken because they do speak it a bit more clearly and a bit like more like they stick to the rules more, I'd say. Sort of like how British English and American English is. Like British people seem to enunciate more than American people. Like here, I'm like water, but I heard my supervisor, who's from Britain, say water, and I found that so weird for some reason. But I was like, yeah, I thought about it for a minute, but yeah, I guess it is water, but I just say water or like mountain instead of mountain. I don't want to go on forever. No story short, what do you like? Castilian Spanish, Latin American Spanish, both of them? Feel free to leave me your comments and criticism, concerns, whatever. Thanks a lot for watching my video.